When the bomb threat alert echoed through the terminal, TSA supervisors scrambled in confusion while panicked travelers ran toward exits. But the quiet woman at Checkpoint 3 stepped forward with deadly calm, her voice cutting through the chaos with authority no security guard should possess. "This is Air Marshal Rodriguez, badge 1249. Lock down all gates immediately and prepare for tactical response. This is not a drill." Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we begin this incredible story of a quiet airport security guard whose calm authority once kept the skies safe from America's most dangerous threats, tell me in the comments where you're watching from today. And if you believe that true protectors never stop watching over us, hit that subscribe button and share this story to help us honor those who guard our safety from the shadows. Denver International Airport's Terminal B buzzed with the 6:30 a.m. rush as Maria Rodriguez clocked in at TSA Checkpoint 3. Tuesday, November 15th meant pre-Thanksgiving crowds, but Maria preferred the early shift for good reason. Business travelers moved with predictable efficiency, unlike the chaotic family groups that dominated later hours. For 18 months, Maria had worked this same checkpoint since moving to Colorado and needing steady employment that wouldn't ask too many questions about the gaps in her resume. At 34, she possessed an understated presence that made her forgettable in crowds, but invaluable during crisis situations. Her colleagues knew her as reliable, punctual, and possessed of an almost supernatural ability to spot prohibited items that other agents consistently missed. What they didn't know was that Maria's eyes had been trained to identify threats at 30,000 feet while moving at 500 miles per hour. Her calm demeanor had been forged during 7 years of protecting commercial aviation from terrorists who viewed passenger aircraft as weapons of mass destruction. "Morning, Maria," called Janet Patterson, the checkpoint supervisor, reviewing her morning briefing materials. Janet was a 15-year TSA veteran who ran Checkpoint 3 with bureaucratic efficiency that prioritized process over instinct. We've got elevated security protocols today. Some chatter about potential threats to aviation infrastructure, so stay sharp." Maria nodded, already conducting her own threat assessment of the morning's passenger flow. Her eyes moved with practiced efficiency, cataloging behavioral patterns, identifying anomalies, and mentally mapping escape routes and defensive positions. It was a skill set that had been drilled into her during months of training at the federal law enforcement training centers, refined during years of service that officially never existed. "Any specific indicators we're watching for?" Maria asked, taking her position at the document check station. "Standard stuff," Janet replied dismissively. "Nervous behavior, unusual travel patterns, inconsistent documentation. You know the drill." But Maria knew drills that Janet couldn't imagine. She could identify someone carrying explosive devices based on subtle changes in their movement patterns. She could spot surveillance teams conducting reconnaissance by recognizing the micro-movements of trained observers. Most importantly, she could read facial micro-expressions that betrayed hostile intent, even when every other indicator suggested an ordinary passenger. As the morning rush intensified, Maria processed hundreds of travelers with calm efficiency, but her advanced training allowed her to assess threats on multiple levels simultaneously. Each passenger received the same polite greeting, thorough document inspection, and professional courtesy that made her appear to be simply another competent TSA employee doing her job with appropriate diligence. At 9:45 a.m., something fundamental changed in the checkpoint's rhythm and energy. Maria felt it before she saw it, the subtle shift that indicated someone whose intentions didn't match their presentation. The man approached Checkpoint 3 with studied casualness that immediately triggered Maria's instincts. Mid-30s, medium build, wearing a navy business suit expensive enough to suggest success, but not flashy enough to draw attention. He carried a black leather briefcase and regulation carry-on bag, with documentation that appeared flawless. But Maria's trained eyes looked beyond surface appearances. She noticed how he conducted a comprehensive scan of the checkpoint area before committing to his approach, cataloging personnel positions and equipment locations with systematic assessment that exceeded normal security consciousness. His movement patterns showed tactical awareness, and his controlled breathing indicated stress management techniques far more sophisticated than ordinary flight anxiety. "Good morning," Maria said pleasantly, accepting his driver's license and boarding pass. "Business or pleasure today, Mr.?" She glanced at the documentation. "Thompson?" "Business," he replied, his voice carrying carefully modulated tones of someone who had worked to eliminate regional speech patterns. "Meeting in Phoenix this afternoon with a potential client." The response was smooth and utterly generic, exactly the kind of cover story Maria had encountered dozens of times during her federal service. Professional background that could explain travel anywhere while providing no verifiable details. "And what line of work are you in, Mr. Thompson?" Maria asked, running his identification through the system. "Consulting," he answered without hesitation. "Process improvement for manufacturing companies, help them streamline operations, reduce waste, improve efficiency." Perfect corporate camouflage. Maria handed back his documents with a professional smile while signaling Brian Martinez at the X-ray station with an almost imperceptible gesture indicating heightened attention was warranted. As Thompson moved toward the metal detector, Maria continued her behavioral assessment. His posture indicated someone comfortable with violence. The way he positioned himself showed tactical thinking that exceeded normal passenger awareness. Most importantly, his demeanor showed controlled calm of someone managing operational stress rather than routine travel anxiety. Thompson's carry-on passed through X-ray without automated alerts, but Brian studied the screen with extra care Maria's signal had requested. Something about the bag's weight distribution seemed wrong, as if compartments were designed to defeat scanning protocols. Thompson cleared the metal detector without incident, collected his belongings efficiently, and began walking toward the gate area. "Excuse me, Mr. Thompson," Maria called, stepping away from her station. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" Thompson paused, and Maria saw rapid tactical assessment flicker across his expression, not surprise or annoyance, but someone recalculating operational plans. "Is there a problem, officer?" he asked, turning back with appropriate curiosity. "Just a routine follow-up question," Maria replied, positioning herself between Thompson and the nearest exit. "Which company are you consulting with in Phoenix?" The micro-delay before his answer told Maria he was accessing prepared information rather than recalling truth. "Southwestern Manufacturing Solutions," he replied smoothly. "They're implementing new quality control procedures." Maria nodded as if satisfied, but she was already signaling Janet Patterson with a subtle gesture indicating potential security concern. "That sounds like important work. Will you be staying long?" "Just overnight, flying back tomorrow evening." The answer was logical and consistent, but Maria's training told her Thompson represented a threat that conventional screening had missed. Her instincts, refined through years of identifying dangers where mistakes had lethal consequences, were screaming warnings. "Maria, what's the holdup?" Janet asked, approaching with administrative impatience that prioritized throughput over security concerns. "We've got lines backing up at all checkpoints." Maria kept her attention on Thompson while addressing her supervisor. "Just conducting routine security follow-up, Janet. Mr. Thompson has been very cooperative." "His documentation cleared the system, right?" Janet asked, checking her tablet. "Background check came back clean." "Yes, ma'am," Maria replied, "but I'd like to conduct secondary screening of his carry-on baggage. Something about the weight distribution during X-ray." "Maria, we don't have time for unnecessary delays," Janet interrupted, her voice carrying bureaucratic authority that valued efficiency over investigative instincts. "Mr. Thompson's documentation is in order. He passed the metal detector clean, and his bag cleared X-ray screening. We need to keep the line moving." Maria felt crushing frustration as her expertise was overruled by administrative considerations. During her years as a federal air marshal, she had learned to trust instincts refined through extensive training and real-world experience in identifying threats conventional methods often missed. "Janet, I really think we should—" "That's enough, Maria," Janet said firmly. "Mr. Thompson, I apologize for the inconvenience. You're free to proceed to your gate." Thompson nodded politely, but Maria caught something in his expression that confirmed her suspicions. the subtle satisfaction of someone who had watched a potential obstacle remove itself from his path. "Thank you, officer," Thompson said, collecting his belongings. "I understand you're just doing your job." As Thompson walked toward the gate area, Maria felt professional frustration mixed with operational concern. Her training screamed they had just allowed a significant threat to proceed deeper into the airport's secure zone, but TSA protocols had overruled her assessment. She returned to processing passengers, but her peripheral attention remained on Thompson's movement. She watched him proceed toward gate B-15, noting he stopped at a newsstand, behavior consistent with normal passenger activities, but also classic counter-surveillance technique. At 10:15 a.m., Thompson boarded Flight 847 to Phoenix without incident. Maria began questioning her instincts until 10:47 a.m. changed everything. The terminal's public address system crackled. "Ladies and gentlemen, due to an immediate security concern, we are implementing emergency evacuation procedures for Terminal B. Please proceed calmly to the nearest exit and await further instructions. This is not a drill." Panic erupted instantly. Thousands of passengers and staff surged toward exits in controlled chaos. Gate agents abandoned stations, retail workers fled stores, travelers grabbed belongings while rushing for exits. The organized flow of airport operations dissolved. Conversations became shouts, luggage clattered across floors, children cried as parents displayed obvious anxiety. The familiar airport rhythm was replaced by emergency response cacophony. Janet Patterson stood frozen, staring at her radio. Brian Martinez shut down X-ray equipment following protocols he'd practiced but never expected to implement. TSA personnel scattered, some following evacuees while others waited for guidance that wasn't coming. But Maria Rodriguez stood completely motionless in the chaos, her mind switching to operational mode with instantaneous transition from years of crisis training. Her first thought? Thompson. The suspicious passenger she'd flagged but been prevented from investigating had boarded a flight less than an hour before this bomb threat. The timing was too convenient. As Maria processed this connection, her real training asserted itself with overwhelming clarity. She wasn't just a TSA agent following evacuation procedures. She was a federal air marshal with 7 years of aviation security experience, trained specifically for this kind of crisis. The terminal chaos dissolved into manageable background as Maria's operational mindset took control. She could see evacuation bottlenecks creating dangerous concentrations and security vulnerabilities being created by chaotic response. More importantly, she recognized this as exactly what sophisticated terrorist operations wanted: maximum confusion, depleted security presence, and emergency responders focused on evacuation rather than threat neutralization. Maria's federal training had taught her to recognize terrorist operational patterns, and everything fit classic diversion tactics designed to create chaos at one location while facilitating operations elsewhere. That's when Maria Rodriguez reclaimed her real identity. "This is Air Marshal Rodriguez, badge 1249, she announced, her voice cutting through chaos with unmistakable authority. "Lock down all gates immediately and prepare for tactical response. This is not a drill." The effect was immediate and dramatic. Janet Patterson spun around, staring with shock and confusion. Brian Martinez stopped his shutdown and looked back toward Checkpoint 3. Several evacuating passengers paused, uncertain whether to continue following evacuation instructions or respond to this new authority. But the most significant reaction came from Officer David Chen of Denver Airport Police, who immediately recognized federal authority in Maria's voice and moved toward her position. "Air Marshal, what's your assessment?" Chen asked, speaking into his radio while approaching. Maria was already moving toward airport operations, her demeanor completely transformed from quiet TSA agent to federal law enforcement officer in crisis mode. "I flagged a suspicious passenger 1 hour ago. TSA supervision overruled my security concerns and allowed him to board Flight 847 to Phoenix. This bomb threat timing is not coincidental." Chen fell into step beside her, understanding Maria's federal authority superseded local protocols during crisis. What do you need? Contact air traffic control and ground Phoenix Sky Harbor, Maria commanded with crisp efficiency. Flight 847 needs immediate diversion. Passenger Michael Thompson is a potential threat actor carrying devices that cleared our screening. Chen was coordinating with operations while Maria continued her threat assessment. Air Marshal, Flight 847 is being diverted to Colorado Springs. FBI counterterrorism is en route. What additional measures? Maria processed multiple information streams: the bomb threat, Thompson's behavior, the timing coordination, and tactical implications of various scenarios. The bomb threat here is likely diversion, she announced, cutting through confusion paralyzing other personnel. Classic terrorist methodology: create chaos at one location to mask operations elsewhere. Thompson boarded that flight, but Phoenix was never his target. Chen looked confused. Then what's his objective? He wanted to get airborne. The bomb threat ensures when his flight gets diverted, it's treated as precautionary rather than security response. But if he's carrying devices that cleared screening, his real target might be the diversion airport. Jesus, he's planning to use the aircraft as a weapon during diversion. Or target other aircraft on the ground at Colorado Springs, Maria added grimly. Either way, Flight 847 is carrying an active terrorist threat about to become operational. Maria's radio crackled. Air Marshal Rodriguez, this is Special Agent Sarah Kim, Denver FBI. What's your assessment? Agent Kim, I believe we're dealing with sophisticated two-phase operation. Phase 1. Get threat actor airborne with devices that cleared conventional screening. Phase 2. Activate once aircraft reaches diversion destination. We've got tactical teams moving toward Colorado Springs. Can you provide threat identification details? Maria accessed detailed memory techniques allowing air marshals to recall precise indicators under stress. Michael Thompson, mid-30s, Navy suit, advanced counter-surveillance awareness, tactical positioning skills, operational stress management. Most importantly, carry-on showed weight distribution suggesting concealed compartments. And TSA prevented secondary screening? Affirmative. Supervisor prioritized throughput over security assessment. Air Marshal, we need you coordinating with Colorado Springs tactical teams. Your direct observation may be critical. As Maria prepared to transition from terminal security to active counterterrorism, she realized her 18 months of anonymity were over. But for the first time since leaving federal service, she felt completely aligned with her training and capabilities. The tactical response unfolded with coordinated precision. At airport operations, Maria worked with FBI analysts developing comprehensive threat profiles based on her Thompson observations. Air Marshal Rodriguez, Agent Kim said, reviewing assessments. What's the most likely scenario at Colorado Springs? Maria studied tactical maps, applying strategic thinking distinguishing air marshals from conventional law enforcement. Thompson knows he's compromised. The diversion confirms we've identified him. He'll either activate devices while airborne for maximum casualties or wait for ground operations providing tactical opportunities. The confirmation came at 12:15 p.m. through air traffic control. Flight 847's pilot reported a passenger barricaded in the lavatory, apparently assembling devices. The crew was implementing hijacking protocols. Agent Kim, I need to be on that response team. I'm the only person who can provide positive identification under stress. Air Marshal, you've been working checkpoint security for 18 months. I spent 7 years conducting exactly this type of operation. My skills may be dormant, but they're not degraded, and I'm the only person who's directly observed the threat actor. Agent Kim recognized Maria's emerged authority and competence. You're authorized for tactical support. The flight to Colorado Springs took 23 minutes aboard FBI tactical helicopter. Maria used the time preparing mentally for her first direct law enforcement action since leaving federal service. Her weapon felt familiar, tactical vest fitted perfectly, and her operational mindset locked into focused clarity. Flight 847 landed under full tactical protocol. Maria positioned with FBI Special Agent Michael Torres coordinating aircraft entry. Through tactical binoculars, she could see Thompson sitting calmly, apparently waiting. "That's him," Maria confirmed. "He's not showing panic. He's waiting for something." The bomb disposal team examining Thompson's luggage radioed crucial intelligence. "Command, suspect's luggage contains sophisticated radio-controlled detonators, but no explosive materials. Repeat, no explosives." Maria immediately understood. "Agent Torres, Thompson isn't carrying explosives. He's carrying detonation devices. The actual bombs are somewhere else." "Where?" "The Denver bomb threat wasn't diversion. It was cover for someone to plant explosives in Terminal B while security focused on evacuation." At 1:47 p.m., bomb disposal teams at Denver International discovered 3 sophisticated devices hidden in evacuated Terminal B locations, positioned for maximum structural damage when passengers returned. Thompson was taken into custody without resistance, recognizing his operational window had closed. His detonation devices were sophisticated but useless without the explosives they were designed to trigger. Agent Kim approached as operations concluded. "Air Marshal Rodriguez, thank you for preventing catastrophic attack. Is there a path back to active federal service?" Maria looked around Colorado Springs Airport, watching tactical teams secure the scene. She realized she had never really left federal service, just been waiting for crisis requiring her real expertise. "Agent Kim, after today, I understand exactly where my skills are most needed." 6 months later, Maria Rodriguez returned to active duty as supervisory air marshal based in Denver, training the next generation of aviation security professionals. She never worked another TSA checkpoint, but never forgot that sometimes the most important service happens when no one knows who you really are. The Denver International bomb threat became a classified case study in federal training programs, but the identity of the security guard who prevented the attack remained protected. Because sometimes the greatest heroes are those whose names are never known, whose service is never acknowledged, but whose vigilance keeps us safe. Maria Rodriguez understood that better than anyone. She had spent 18 months hiding expertise behind a TSA uniform, but when the moment came to protect innocent lives, she stepped forward without hesitation and reminded everyone that true guardians never stop watching over those they've sworn to protect.